Hi, I'm Blythe Stephens of A Blythe Coach, dance education and coaching to move through life with balance, grace, and power. And part of that balance, grace, and power for me includes poetry. So although most of my content has to do with dance and yoga and coaching and those sorts of life themes and ideas. Oftentimes, I'm using poetry to provide inspiring imagery to fuel my spiritual practice as well as my artistic practice, and just because I love it. So, if you don't love poetry like I do, or don't appreciate this as much as other offerings, that's totally fine. I know not everyone's here for the poetry, but if you are, or you are curious what sorts of poems I am reading and being inspired by here in the springtime, then come along. I've got some really great ideas for you. Mary Oliver is one of my favorite poets, period, but she has lots of great things to say too about this time of year, including, this is from her New and Selective Poems Volume 2 collection, including a poem called Spring. So we'll start there. All day the flicker has anticipated the lust of the season by shouting. He scouts up tree after tree, and at a certain place begins to cry out, "My!" in his black freckled vest, bay body with red trim and sudden chrome underwings. He is dapper. Of course, somebody listening nearby hears him. She answers with a sound like hysterical laughter and rushes out into the field where he is poised on an old phone pole, his head swinging his wings, opening and shutting in a kind of butterfly stroke. She can't resist. They touch, they flutter. How lightly altogether they accept the great task of carrying life forward. In the crown of an oak, they choose a small tree cave. That was Spring by Mary Oliver. And I have another one from her, probably many more, but two for today. This one is called Seven White Butterflies. 7 white butterflies, delicate in a hurry, look how they bang the pages of their wings as they fly. To the fields of mustard yellow and orange and plain, gold all eternity is in the moment. This is what Blake said, Whitman said, such wisdom in the agitated motions of the mind, 7 dancers floating. Even as worms toward paradise, see how they banter and riot and rise, to the trees flutter, lob their white bodies into the invisible wind, weightless, lacy, willing to deliver themselves unto the universe. Now each settles down on a yellow thumb, on a brassy stem. Now all 7 are rapidly sipping from the golden towers. Who would have thought it could be so easy? So in no particular order, next we have from Robert Frost, a poem called To the Thawing Wind. Come with rain, O loud southwester, bring the singer, bring the nester, give the buried flower a dream, make the settled snowbank steam, find the brown beneath the white, but whate'er you do tonight, bathe my window, make it flow, melt it as the ices go, melt the glass and leave the sticks like a hermit's crucifix. Burst into my narrow stall, swing the picture on the wall, run the rattling pages o'er, scatter poems on the floor, turn the poet out of the door. Isn't that great? Spring really creates that impetus. You could feel that energy, that motivation. From the collection called Rave, Poems 1975 to 1999 by Olga Braumas, I have the poem Lenten. Still weeks before the equinox, in March strange pleasure, to prepare to come to visit you in April. April. 14. Strange pleasure, not to miss you. How different pleasurable this time. Immersed in the collective, memorizing of my senses all, fierce, all entangled preparations, constantly at the terminals, at the other stations, in the imaginary, the mercurial and dreams, the long lope of a mind, uninterrupted like a raga, drone horizon note against which rivers, mountains, miles of landscape and the present sing. From the Moon is Always Female, poems by Marge Piercy, I have Dirty Poem. Snow lies on my fields, though the air is so warm I want to roll on my back and wriggle. Sure, the dark downhill weep shows who's winning, and the thatch of tall grass is sticking out of the banks. But I want to start digging and planting my swelling hills, my leaf-brown loamy soil interlaced with worms red as mouths, my garden. Why don't you hurry up and take your clothes off? That one's from a bit of an earlier part of spring than we're currently in, but I just love that imagery. Thanks for joining me for this celebration of springtime and the poetry and verse inspired by this time of year with so much renewal and awakening and freshness. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below to let me know if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, and what are your favorite springtime poems? And I'll see you again next time.